So, in promotion of any kind of institution, I would rather say that it is the plan, it is the foresight of person that works. Maybe you too have worked on it and you must have achieved success, as you said. Now, what is it by the way of planning that you have?
You see, first of all, as soon as I came here and Tribhuvandas involved me, I realized I did not know enough daring to be
In
able
what
to.
perspective?
I have never studied daring. My master's degree is in metallurgy and nuclear physics. I did not have any interest in cows. I went because this was the only scholarship I could get. But what I studied is to become a nuclear engineer.
And then you were put in dairy.
I was forced to come to dairy because the scholarship was in dairy engineering. So I ended up here by compulsion. So having come here and having seen there are possibilities and realizing that I do not have the knowledge, I then thought of my classmate in Michigan State University who had the knowledge. He said he had claimed to me that he was a direct descendant of the gopis of Lord Krishna. He was a Yadav from Uttar Pradesh. And not only was he a Yadav, but unlike most Yadavs, he had gone to college for an education. And he had a degree from Pune Agricultural College. And he, because he owned the largest dairy at that time of 300 Red Sindhi cows, he was born and brought up in the stables. And he owned a dairy which was supplying to the army. And he came to America on his own expense to study more dairying. And he did his master's in dairy manufacture in Michigan State University. And we knew each other. And so when I came back and I found the opportunities here, I persuaded him to come and meet me in a tea shop in Worli. With great hesitation, he came and saw me. He had decided this country was a bad country because when he went to America, his dairy and all his property was in a place called Karachi. When he came back, somebody had divided the country without his permission, and he was on the wrong side of the boundary. So he lost his entire property. So he said this is a dirty country, and he was planning to emigrate back to the United States. And those days, for a man with a degree from the American university, there were no problems. Then I met him, and I pleaded with him to come to Anand. His name was Harichand Dalaya. So with a lot of persuasion, I told him I bought his ticket also. Now, if he didn't come, I'll lose that money. So he came for 2 days to Anand. He said, you stay with me. I'm a bachelor. Eat my food. And he was working in the dairy. And after some months, Tribhuvandas met me and said, you're a friend. I see him always inside the dairy. Have we employed him? I said, no. He said, we have not employed him. And why is he working? They're not paying him any salary? No. He said, if he's working, you must pay him. I said, now that you have mentioned it, I will do so. So he became the assistant manager. And he knew dairy. And he remained here for 35 years.
Where is he now?
He's retired. He is in fact a year or so older than me, perhaps. He's 76. He retired. So these are it is he who did all the new developments in Amul, making butter, making powder, which everybody said could not be done. And he said he can do it. And it's he who did all this. You see, he did all the work, I did all the talking. So there was a division of labor. You see, the secret is to get best people to work. If a co-op is to succeed, if Amul Dairy is to run, it cannot be run by honorary workers. It needs professional managers of the highest competence. When Amul Dairy was handling 200,000 litres and I was its chief executive, it had 8 PhDs from foreign universities as its employees. It had the most powerful technical team available anywhere in the world. That's how it was all done. And I hope the cooperatives must understand that cooperatives are not to be run as a charitable organization. It is professional. It is only that it's owned by farmers. But it's a business enterprise and it should be run as a business.
How are the resources built initially?
You probably know after when it was supplying milk to Bombay and we put in some little modern equipment, it began to run in a profit. It was making more and more profit. We we are putting aside the profit. And I remember we had put aside some 20 lakhs of rupees. Then we wanted to build the new dairy. Then we needed another 20 lakhs. I asked the government of Bombay to loan me 10 lakhs as a loan. And UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund, had come here and said, "You are not collecting all the milk in flush season." I said, "No, because what shall I do with that milk? I can't expect people in Bombay to drink 2 bottles of milk in winter and 1 bottle in summer. Then why? What do you want to do?" I said, "I must make it into products." Then the lawyer said, "We should make milk powder." He said, "Then UNICEF will donate the equipment provided you will pay for this donation by feeding the children in Kera district. 1.5 times the value of the equipment we give you." We agreed. And that is how the powder plant came, India's first milk powder plant. The government of Bombay and the milk commissioner said, "We cannot manufacture powder in India." Foreign experts said so. And so there were no problems at all. It was made. Then I understood that foreign technical experts' advice is usually dictated by the economic interest of the countries from where they come. So if you bring Professor William Redett from New Zealand to advise you, he will advise you not to manufacture powder. Because today I think India manufactures more milk powder than New Zealand does. And New Zealand is getting upset that we are taking away the markets. We have reached a stage when the president of Sri Lanka has asked me, to be the chairman of their dairy board. In fact, she has appointed me as the chairman of the dairy board of Sri Lanka. As you know, Sri Lanka and India are not particularly friends. But in the midst of all this has happened. And we are taking over the dairy industry of Sri Lanka. So we can, through milk, whole of Asia can work together. Mauritius was here yesterday. So many countries come here at very high levels. And when they see all this, they say, "Why can't we work together? Why can't you help us?" So it is important that Asia and Africa learn to talk to each other.
So, what has been your experience at a personal level with multinationals?
My experience has been bad. There are no doubt some multinationals who may be good, but it has not been my good fortune to run into them. Such multinationals I have run into, I have discovered, have only one thing, one reason why they come to India. It is to exploit India and its market and its potential, and to have dividend for their shareholders if they are in Switzerland or in America or wherever it is, to take out money from India. No multinational is prepared to invest money, in my opinion, in my country, unless it has hopes of taking more money out. I have not understood the policies of liberalization and globalization, which invites foreigners to come here and to do things which Indians can do themselves. There is a heavy price to pay for this. I am shocked that the World Bank, which was created in order to help countries like India develop, should itself work as an instrument of American economic imperialism, and that our finance ministers should permit this. Now we have a farmer as a prime minister. I hope these policies will be changed, and I have some hope that he will change it, because I have discussed the matter with him.
Can you relate a few incidents in your life which which have got to do something with the multinationals?
Well, if you take a multinational like Nestle, I'm aware that they imported milk powder from Poland. Why from Poland? Because Poland, after Chernobyl, had radioactive milk powder. Their milk was contaminated. So that powder could not be marketed. So they were trying to get rid of it at a very low price. Now Nestle buys it and converts it to infant milk food and sells it in Sri Lanka and in Bangladesh. Now, to make money. How can this be permitted?
That must be disastrous then.
Of course it is. And we developing countries are called developing countries because we are ignorant. We don't know. Probably Bangladesh has no atomic energy commission. Probably it has no facility to test for radioactivity. Certainly Sri Lanka hasn't got. Now if they will go to this level to make money, now I am aware in Sri Lanka that they are adding preservatives to milk, because that is cheaper to collect milk after adding preservatives, rather than chilling the milk and bringing it. It costs money. Now, this is illegal. The fellows doing this should be in jail. Now, if these are the multinationals, the less we have of them, the better. We had a collaboration with a company called Tetra Pak. It is one of the world's largest and most powerful multinational. It operates in some 130, 150 countries in the world. Now it was my partner. 20% shares was held by them, 80% by me in a company called Hindustan Packaging Company. We set up a unit and we started using their Tetra Pak to package milk, and we package vegetable oil also. Then came liberalization policy announced by our ministers, our previous government. So as soon as our previous government announced liberalization, Tetra Pak demanded that they should be given majority shareholding. So I refused. As soon as I refused, they said, if you are refusing, we want to inform you, we shall share no more know-how with you. Please understand, these machines need spare parts and we will no longer supply them. Please understand, you cannot do anything if we are not there. So that is the ruthlessness of a multinational. Openly to my face, thanks to those fellows in our government who talked liberalization, they were dictating to an Indian in India. We are not liked anywhere in the world. We are not respected anywhere in the world. At least in my own country, I should be respected. Our policies should be such as to strengthen India and its prestige. But we have fellows as ministers who do not believe that India's prestige should be protected. I suppose if somebody wants to set up a dairy in Anand, if Nestle wants to set up a dairy in Anand and collect the milk, they will permit that also. After all, we started with 200 litres. It has now become 1 million litres. Now easy to come here and harvest this crop that we have sown, we have nurtured for 50 years. What sort of policies are these?
So when you've planned things in this way, a long way that Amul has gone, I would also like to know whether it has been difficult in the beginning as far as farmers are concerned.
Well, there are problems. I am not aware of any farmer who does not want a higher price for his products than what he is getting, however much you may pay him. Just as I am not aware of any employee who is happy with the salary he gets, he always wants something more. These are legitimate. So, while that is true, it is also true they are good people.
No, any kind of constraint.
There are, constraint is only this, they should be really in charge. Then there will be no constraint. But unfortunately it is not so. We all want to use farmers. Government policy is to give them free water. Government policy is to give them free electricity. What is the farmer reply? I don't want free water. I want water when I need it, when my crops need it. I want electricity, I don't want it free. I don't want it at concession. But I want it 24 hours a day, and I want it a reliable power supply without interruptions. And if the government gives them power at 3 o'clock in the morning for 2 hours, it does not help him. So what the farmer objects to is being exploited by the merchants in marketing of their products. By those who provide inputs like electricity, etc., they are also exploiting them by not taking care of their needs, their genuine rights, that they are entitled to getting power supply. I am told that power supply never fails in the capital of this state, whereas it fails regularly everywhere else. What does this mean? In Gandhinagar, there is no shortage of power. Never is there an interruption of power. Why? So how will they know, sitting in government, what are the problems when you don't have power? Now I saw that the Prime Minister said there should be power cut in Delhi also, in the VIP areas also. Quite right. Then only you will understand what is a power cut. Now, even in Bihar, I know that there is no meters power supplied to high government officials in Patna. All meters have been bypassed. Now, what shall you do with them? If open corruption is tolerated, you are abetting corruption.
So, but the farmers, do you think they feel that constraints, they face those constraints and they have to live up to them? Then those goals cannot be achieved.
The constraint is if he is in charge of his village society, milk society, if he is commanding the Amul dairy, then you have seen what he can do. From 200 litres, he has gone up to 1 million litres. That's what he has done. And when we spread it under Operation Flood 1, 2 and 3 to 175 districts, now you have seen India's milk production has tripled. So these are evidence, if still evidence is required, that we must get government out of businesses and let farmers handle their own products. We can do without a Food Corporation of India. We can do without all these corporations and bodies and boards that are created. In fact, you can do without a National Dairy Development Board. You don't need it. In fact, it will become a curse the moment a man who is not a friend of farmers or an employee of farmers becomes its chairman. It is fortunate that government, Lal Bahadur Shastri, in his wisdom, formed a dairy board and put a farmer's employee as the chairman.
You feel that this is a sort of social reform, cooperatives. It has brought about social reform.
It is social, economic, and political reform, all rolled into one. Because our future leaders must be trained. They don't grow on trees. If a fellow handles a village society, and he handles it with dignity, if he then becomes the chairman of a district union, and he handles that with dignity, decorum, and decency, now you have trained a man fit enough to be an MLA. Now, having become an MLA, now he will become, because of his experience of managing farmers' interests, he will become a good minister. So ministers have to be trained. And training can be done not in colleges, but in democratic structures. So it has a great importance. Babubhai Jeshbhai Patel, chairman of Amul, became the chief minister of Gujarat state. He was a good chief minister because he was trained in the laboratory of Amul to handle money, men and materials in a dignified manner and a decorous manner. But if somebody is pitchfork, because he is shouting the loudest at a street corner, and he becomes a minister tomorrow, as is increasingly happening, then what will happen? Then corruption will be rampant. And when the ministers are corrupt, the employees will become corrupt. Because if the minister is honest, if my minister is honest, I cannot be corrupt.
So cooperatives mean the development of man according to you, right? Milk cooperatives have had a kind of social implementation also. And it has got some social implications. Were these social reforms part of the original cooperative agenda earlier?
If you are put in charge of a structure, then you must try and find out in which all directions can you use that structure. It may not be stipulated in the beginning what all you should do in a cooperative. But any good manager will use a structure given to him to manage for the good of the people. And our cooperatives have learned many things. You see, we have clean milk production. How can you talk of clean milk production unless you talk of sanitation and hygiene in the rural sector? So if you have to teach them clean milk production, you have to introduce elements of sanitation. Somebody has to sprinkle water around the collecting center to keep the dust down. Somebody has to use a flit gun to try and keep the flies away. Somebody has to use sanitizers to wash the pots and pans and clean water. Now if buffaloes fall sick, and case of dystocia where uterus is twisted and the buffalo cannot calve because the calf cannot come out, everybody knows the calf will die and the buffalo will die. Today they telephone for a vet from Amul Dairy. He will be there within 4 hours of being asked. He will lie behind the buffalo, he will put his hand in, he will have the buffalo rolled one way, he will roll the other way, untwist the uterus, take the calf out. What does this display of modern science do to the thinking of these people? Do they not say, sir, my son was sick. I sent for a doctor, nobody came. After 4 days, he died. Can you not do something for our children? Some scheme which is sensitive to their needs, which will respond like your veterinary department. So Tribhuvan Das Foundation was created in order that rural health may be handled by their own organization. Then we have cattle feed plant. We explain to them how feed is formulated in our cattle feed plant, which, as you know, produces 600 tons per day. It's the largest cattle feed plant of India. The feed plant is central, 600 tons a day, and it is distributed to all the villages in the milk truck, which goes back empty to collect the milk. It delivers the feed and collects the milk. So this feed has got 18% protein. Now we have 250,000 women visiting this center. We explain to them this is 18% protein. And in the monsoon, when green grass is available, we reduce the protein to 16% because green grass is available. That has protein. Do they not ask what is this thing called protein? Do you not have to explain to them what is protein? Then you say you have added vitamins, you have added minerals. Do they not ask what is this vitamins, what is this minerals? When you say the female buffalo, even though she is dry, and she is dry because she is in the last 3 months of her pregnancy, when she is dry, even then she must be fed properly because the fetus is growing. And if you want a healthy calf, you must feed the mother properly. Can they not apply it to their own growing fetus? Are we only discussing animal nutrition with them? When we take them to the AI center, show them how semen is collected from the bull, explain to them through charts what is an ova, what is a sperm, what are the complexities of conception, how does conception take place, how does birth take place. Do they not ask, is this what happens in humans? Then can you not lead them on to birth control? Can you not tell them how easy it is to prevent the sperm from meeting the ova? So then what is Anand? It is not just collecting milk and producing Amul products. It is a movement for social and economic regeneration of our rural areas. And any manager which has such structures at his disposal must use it for these purposes, seeking the larger dimensions of development, not just make Amul products.
Dr. Kurian, you've just said that women in this field, they have the major contribution.
Yes,
to the
dairy,
work
they
of
take care of the
milk
buffaloes, they
production,
feed the buffalo and so on, yeah.
Taking care of the
Yeah.
buffalo. How do you think this, how is it taken up in the villages? How
Yes,
these
women,
things?
certainly are the ones who get the buffaloes to produce milk. It would be very good if we can ensure that the money paid for milk is retained by the woman. From agriculture, farmer gets a return twice a year or even 3 times a year when the crops are marketed. But from milk, she gets a return twice a day to keep the home fires burning, to buy the salt, the sugar, the kerosene, which she must buy every day. That is why we pay them twice a day. Because also most of our women are not educated. They cannot read. So no question of keeping accounts. So we pay them immediately. That is, morning milk is paid for in the evening, evening milk in the morning. So she knows that much, how much money is owing to her. So you will please see that we want the money should be retained, but we are aware in many homes. It's well known that when a man's income increases, he goes and has a drink, or he smokes more cigarettes or bidis. Whereas when a woman's income increases, she uses it for the good of her family. So it's important that we work to see that the money is retained by the woman and spent by her. And it is important also to see that, the income from milk is almost the same as the income from agriculture. So that means, what is the implication of her income being equal to his income? It gives her some measure of independence. Many widows live only on 1 or 2 buffaloes and lead an honorable, respectable life. So it is important to see that this remains a woman's movement, or more a woman's movement than even if it is today. There are cases where the man gets at the money. There are instances where the man beats up the wife to get the money, ill-treats her to get the money, and so on. I mean, it is very true that women are exploited by the men in our villages, more in our villages than in the cities. It's unfortunately true. In fact, the other day I was having a discussion with the chairman of Amul, and I asked him, is it not true that in your village, in all villages, women are treated worse than buffaloes? He said, yes, unfortunately it is true. So we hope this situation will change.
Aren't there any cooperative banks
There are.
which are run by women?
There are milk societies which are wholly run by women. Increasingly, we have started many. But let us admit, by and large, the man is in command. By her getting the money, it does not mean he won't grab it. He won't give her a slap and take the money and go to the nearest toddy shop. He will. So this is a little gradual. It will take time. In Kerala, however, we have observed that where education comes in, what really empowers the women is not the money through milk. What empowers them is education. The moment they get educated, the moment they have a capacity to earn their own keep because of the education they have, from that day onwards, women cannot be exploited. And what is more important, the most powerful birth control measure is female education. The way to control our population is by education of women. That is why in Kerala, the growth of population has been brought down to zero, because women are educated. So there are many things to be done. Cooperative is just one step, but it should be lead on to several steps.
It has diversified
Yeah, it's
achievements.
necessary.
Dr. Kurian, I would like to know, how does your day begin? Let's go on the lighter side now.
Well, I get up at 3 o'clock, think what I shall do the day. This program will be there.
You jot
Then
it
I'll
down?
go back to sleep.
You jot it down and go back to sleep.
Yes, certainly.
And then
It
what do
takes
you
only an hour to plan the day. And get up at 7 o'clock. By which time I hope my wife would have got up, or I would have pushed her away. She would go to the kitchen and make me a cup of coffee. Nothing special about a day in Anand. But I may say this, I have some rules, unlike politicians. My day will begin officially at 9:30. It will end at 6:30. My house is not an extension of my office. No papers are taken home. No one is welcome in my house to talk official business. That period after 6:30 is for my family. And on holidays also, Saturday I come here to do work, but on Sunday, no.
What do you do on holidays?
You see, because you have seen my day today, what has happened to me this morning, I spent the whole time with you. Therefore, naturally, on Saturdays, I try to clear my desk because it's a holiday. So I come in the morning, about 10 o'clock, and return at about 12 o'clock. I would have finished the papers. So Saturday, half day I work, and I can work uninterrupted.
You have that potential and the energy to work. I congratulate you for that. But I would also like to know how you have retained that within you.
The more you are ready for work. If you don't have work, you will rust. So that is why most government officials after retirement rust. You should keep busy doing something. The only problem is it is not permitted according to rules to draw a salary after you are 58 or 60, and neither do I. But work is important. As long as
Right now you are in honorary job.
I have been an honorary chairman ever since I was 60, that is for the last 14 years. I have no house given by the dairy board. I have no, only I get a car from the cooperative, nothing else. So one is not working only for money. One is one reward, but there are other rewards that you get. So my life is quite happy.
What do you do on holidays? Like you help your wife with things, or you enjoy gardening or reading?
No, I may read a little, but I'm a lazy man, basically. I enjoy being lazy.
You just want to relax.
I may listen to music.
What kind of music you like?
Western,
Western, classical?
yes.
Who's your favorite?
Any number. We have now after coming to Anand, all those parts of me are gone. You know, my mother was educated by Swiss missionaries. And when she married my father, she brought home an organ as part of the dowry. So from those days, and if she is alive, she would have been about 120. So I'm talking about when she was 18. So Western music and all this has been part of our life.
You've been playing on the organ sometimes? No.
No, I tried my hand, but obviously my skills were not in that direction. So I didn't, but my brothers was learning, my sister was learning, but not me.
Do you recollect any moment of your childhood which has been very, very special, very, very remarkable?
As I told you, I am a very successful man. Success comes to me easily. So
You don't have any childhood memories as
all I know is I left a school because that was a girls' school where I started life studying. And when a girl and I fought over some toy, teacher said, she's a girl, give it to her. So from that day I said I won't go to the school. I was discriminated against for being a boy. Yeah,
you were born a Christian.
yep.
So how deep are your religious beliefs?
I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. But if you believe in God, you're welcome to it. I realize religion is a crutch which you can hold on to when you run into difficulties. God's will. Not that milk contractor did this to you and blame it on God. So concept of God is perhaps good to keep.
To what extent?
To the extent that those who have faith, no explanation is necessary. Those who have no faith, no explanation is possible. So I do not have the consolation that religion brings. Go to the church and pray, and all your sins will be forgiven. So I don't believe in all this. Religion, as was said by some communist literature, is the opium of the masses.
But then how do you connote that supernatural power that gives you the
There is
faith
there is no supernatural power. What about the dog? It also has to believe in God. My dog, my servant one day was saying, better to be a dog in Korean's house than be a dairy superintendent. You get fed, taken care of. Now, are these animals got a soul also? And what happens to you after you're dead? The worms eat you. Now, you want to think that you are going to another place and you will be taken care of. It's vanity of the human being.
Well, you also feel that life has given you
You
lots.
see, most of the troubles of this world is due to religion. Religion has not united our people. It has divided our people. Throughout the world, all wars have been fought on religion. And every time one priest feels that his power is threatened by the other fellow, the other fellow is busy creating another church and saying, now I am Protestant. Now within Protestant I am Marthoma, I am Jacobite, I am this. And it goes on and on. You see, you divided India to create Pakistan. Now I am warning you that Pakistan will have to be divided. We'll learn soon that it will have to be divided. Once you start the processes of division, it will not end. Pakistan will soon find that Karachi will secede, Sindh will secede, northwestern frontier will secede. Shias and Sunnis will fight. The only way Shias and Sunnis will remember they are Muslims if the Hindu majority is there. So the moment you start dividing on the basis of religion, there is no end to this division. So it's a very bad thing. I hope sincerely that a day will come when we will form a confederation. Pakistan, Nepal, Burma, India, Ceylon.
What, in your opinion, can stabilize a country?
Good leadership, honest leadership. No, we don't have it. Probably we won't have it. I don't know. But I still say, let us not abandon democracy. Let us hope.
Do you think that man, if he is integrated, he has...
I don't know what you mean by integrating man. A man can be happy if he believes he is doing something good and he is being useful, that he is being used for a purpose and so on. But that purpose does not come from a superior being. It can come from within you. So I am an atheist. I think, but if you have religion, please keep it. By all means, it is not for me to preach atheism. No, I sometimes envy you that you have religion, which I haven't got.
What has been your opinion when you have traveled abroad? How do you differentiate people across the country? Like they say there's the universality among people. Do you feel that we lag behind? Our country has faced a lot of tremendous onslaughts. Do you feel so?
We had. Now the time is past when we should be blaming the British for all our problems.
No, right now.
No, now we cannot blame foreigners for our problems. We can only blame the advanced countries exploiting the world for their own benefit. We can blame the Americans. Each American probably consumes the resources of this world 100 times more than an Indian. Each American pollutes the world 100 times more than an Indian, maybe more. So the advanced countries are now telling us that we should have conservation. After they have done all these years the exploitation, they have reached the pinnacle. Now they don't want us to get there. So our leadership should be careful when we listen to foreigners. Their agenda is clear. With 1/4 of the world's population, they have occupied by force of arms 3/4 of the world's surface. And that is why they are rich. And they have crowded us with 3/4 of the world's population into 1/4 of the world's surface. That is why we are poor. Now, naturally, we are going to ask for more. Naturally, Indians are going to America and invading America. Naturally, we are going to England. Naturally, these tendencies will increase as we migrate beyond our borders to earn our keep. It's about time the advanced countries understood that they cannot stop us. They talk of liberalization. The only liberalization I want is my people must be able to go anywhere. That you don't allow. You pass restrictive legislation. You ram their ships till somewhat yesterday 100 Indians died.
How do you define integrity in a citizen?
The simplest form is not to steal other people's money. That's the simplest form. The much more important integrity comes from within. There are certain things you do not do, wrong things you will not do. You will not exploit other people. You will not steal other people's not only money but anything. You should instead try and bring more money to them. You see, working for the less fortunate has its own rewards, many very important rewards, which money is only one of the rewards life can offer you. But after your belly is full and you have enough clothes, there should be other rewards you should seek from life.
Dr. Kurin, I think there are moments in one's life which shape or break a man. What have been those moments in your life?
My thing is coming to Anand and meeting Tribhuvandas and understanding the man and deciding to work for him and for the causes he believed in. That was the most rewarding thing. Why do I remain here when I could get a job in the World Bank? When McNamara came here to offer me a job in the World Bank, I told him no. You see, those are rewards some people may aspire. And to get that reward, they may sell their country's interests. But there are certain rewards I want, and these are not one of them. Dollars is not one of them.
Were you ever offered any better opportunities later
Yes.
than this?
After
Anand.
So many jobs. I told you McNamara, the president of the World Bank, came to Anand to ask me, to invite me to join the World Bank. It was obviously not on a low job. The answer was no, it's not possible. I have my commitments here. So many jobs. I could have gone to Bombay, I could have gone to multinationals have offered me.